We're Trent Allie, and we knew building this house would be a challenge.
I'm pretty notorious for biting off more than I can chew, and this is definitely a good example.
But that hasn't stopped us so far. Today started out as intimidating.
Today we're building the biggest, strongest, heaviest wall of the house.
And turned into a small disaster.
We just have to undo about an hour and a half worth of work that we did yesterday. Oh no. It's not looking good. I don't know, it's wrong. Something's wrong.
We're trying to stay positive.
A hair out of square is the name of our channel now. We're building homes in an area near you. Just a hair out of square.
Subscribe if you're not already, and come along today as we welcome a special guest. I can't believe you made it up here!
Living the dream!
Make a few mistakes and find out why most people don't build their own house.
Trent, the tool man Taylor.
Awesome. Okay.
So these awesome yellow pipes that I'm buying right here is yellow poly pipe. And it's for propane. One thing that we're gonna have to have up at the cabin is a giant propane tank because there's no gas in the area. And also I think we're gonna get that installed rather soon because we're gonna hook Terry up to it so that Terry doesn't run out of propane all the time trying to keep warm in the wintertime. Also, I have no idea what I'm doing with propane, so I'm just gonna buy all the stuff that I think I might need, and hopefully whatever I don't need, I can just bring back. So now that we're gonna be building big walls, we're gonna need a persuader. Ugh. This is a persuader. Basically, once you have these huge walls and you need to get them like squared up, you can't just like scoot them or bump them or move them. So you have to have a really big hammer to give them a couple taps, and that'll help get them square. All right, early trip to Home Depot.
Success.
We got all the things that we need. Today, we're gonna be building an enormous wall. It's very intimidating. We're gonna need Kevin's help. We're heading up to the property. We're gonna meet Brandon there. Hopefully Kevin shows up soon. Today's gonna be one for the books.
Are changing fast.
We're having a little bit of a cold snap. So last night at the base of this mountain, the low was 30 degrees, which means up here it was probably between 25 and 29.
I think the word you're looking for is autumn.
Autumn.
Yeah.
Yeah, freezing is actually the word I was looking for. Below 32 degrees is freezing. And it's a good thing I brought down all the glue and anything else that isn't supposed to be frozen because it got really cold last night. Now, for the rest of the week, the lows are like 45. So it's just today really that got that cold. But as I jump out of the truck, I can feel my clothes start to like get cold and I'm getting like goosebumps on my legs. Today, we're building the biggest, strongest, heaviest wall of the house. And it's gonna be quite the challenge.
It's super chilly in the mornings, but the sun is still very intense. I got pretty sunburnt last time, so I got this hat. What do you think, Brandon?
Yeah. Not quite as cool as this one, but it's close.
Hopefully it'll keep the sun off my face enough to not get burned today. Trent's just past the point of no return. He's just got red leather on his neck for the rest of his life.
Call me a redneck.
Yeah, literally. Look at those muscles.
One small step for man. Really out of breath.
How tall is this wall?
I'm not an architect or a construction worker or very good at reading plans in general or blueprints. But if I'm not mistaken, it was, I think, off of the first floor, subfloor, it's 26 feet 9 inches. It's gonna be like 4,000 or 5,000 pounds. So then we have to have a crane truck come in with this crane, pick it up, stand it in place while we nail it all together. This is where consequences become very grave. And then Wednesday, I'm hoping Kevin's gonna be here, but I feel like he's probably not. So it's like one of those crucial, monumental, scary times. And during some of those times recently, Kevin's been busy elsewhere. So it's all gonna fall on me, and Brandon too. We're gonna make sure Brandon's at least partially responsible if something goes wrong.
Piece of cake?
Absolutely.
Will you hook that? See that? That's the tip of our house.
Woo!
And it's almost 27 feet off the deck. So off the front, that's easily a 35-foot fall. So we need to be careful. And by the time we have this stood up, we're gonna have a helicopter with harnesses. It's gonna be hanging us, and we're just gonna be like Mission Impossible-ing and just nailing while we float.
That'd be kind of cool.
That's your real test.
All jokes aside,
We're getting safety
that's
equipment.
really high, and we're gonna have plenty of safety equipment.
Square?
No. Is it supposed to be? I would call that a parallelogram.
Definitely a parallelogram.
Yeah. Are all the angles congruent, and are all of the sides identical?
Well, 2 are, and then the other 2 are.
Parallelogram.
Parallelogram.
This might look like, what are those things called that the devil worshippers use?
Parallelogram?
Very close. No, it's like the thing with the star. Do you see that? I used all of my brain power. I used all of my brain power to try and create the rafters where they're going to land. This giant rectangle is our 1,000,000-pound beam that's going to go from one end of the building to the other end of the building. Now, this is very, very important because this beam rests right here and rests on that side of the building, and it literally holds the entire weight of the universe on it. It holds all the snow, our roof, everything. If I have to get up there to shovel the roof, it's got to hold me too. It's enormous, so
No
it has to
pressure.
hold a lot of weight. Also, the beam post that's going to go below this on either side is going to transfer all that weight down into the foundation. That beam post is what we're going to be building today. Okay, so 8 foot 1 1/8 is 97.125 inches.
Like so many times before, I never felt
Forget everything you learned about building a van.
That's funny though, because in the van, nothing is square, nothing is level, and you just kind of make what you think looks right, and it all comes together in the end, but there's no inspector, no one's checking you, and it doesn't really have to be perfect.
I beg to differ. Trent is in the van often and he's pretty square.
That's true.
Come on, Kevin!
running down the same road. Hope it leads me
Square, which
somewhere
means that's the straightest wall.
making up for lost time.
So that means the rest of this is just a hair out of square.
A hair out of square is the name of our channel now.
Got a nice ring to it.
We're building homes in an area near you. Just a hair out of square. So I got some really good practice this morning, but everything I drew up there on the subfloor is more than a hair out of square. It's unusable. So we've reestablished the bottom of our bottom plate. This is my second time doing this, so now I have a little bit of experience, and we're gonna draw this out.
That is what it's supposed to look like when you're done. You are correct.
There's a beam up here. Joist right here.
So Kevin said, Trent, you need to draw out your wall and draw out all the dimensions ahead of time so you know all the math and all the equations so that we're measuring everything correctly. And Trent went, okay, and went down. And this is what he drew.
Is that a house? I feel like
Looks like a doghouse.
You start from here and you calculate that height.
And the way I do that is a 10 on either side.
So go
So
5.5.
5.5 on that red line. 27.
Okay, now put it this way.
Oh no, it's wrong. Something's wrong.
What's wrong? What's that? Is that a 40?
Yeah, now you're on 10.
So
This is a piece of garbage.
no, it's fine. So you're 40. So anytime, so everything is based off of 90 degrees, right? So if you're 40 this way, anything that runs into it, that angle will be 50.
Okay. That makes sense.
Because everything needs to add up to 90 in the end.
Yep.
All these, I mean, this is geometry. This is why you go to school.
Brendan, how happy are you that this isn't your house?
I'm just happy Kevin's here.
It is nice.
Does have a crane truck, that's why.
Are you done?
Yeah.
Done.
Are you serious?
No.
Oh.
Well, Allie ran to get us some lunch because all three of us actually forgot our lunches today, believe it or not. And we've done a lot. We've laid out the house basically twice. Now we've got the doorway figured out. This is going to be a beam up here that goes over the top of the door. If we put in 2 more of these outside walls, we would basically have the shape like set on the floor, and then we just got to put the studs in there, build the door, sheet it, and have all that done by tomorrow afternoon.
You have like 10 bees around you.
Yeah, I know, you brought them.
They like you.
They weren't here until you brought the
You're
5
sweet
guys.
like honey.
I am sweet like honey. We basically cut the 2 outside studs that are going to be basically the corners of the building. Now this is the first stud that I've had to cut on an angle. Really expensive piece of wood. We only have a couple that are this long.
Money?
Yay!
Victory!
Good job. All right, see ya. Brandon has to leave, but like we've mentioned, we have a crane scheduled for Wednesday. We're not moving that date no matter what happens. So Trent and I are gonna continue to work, and we're gonna get the whole wall laid out except for the big beam that needs to sit in the middle.
We're not going home until at least most of these studs are cut and nailed in place.
Whatever you do, don't mess it up.
I got this feeling like it's starting now, starting now. I feel adventurous with you. And there is nothing that can hold us back, hold us back. We can do what we want to do. 'Cause we got all the time in the world, for better or worse. We should stay together. So let's stay young and in love. We should focus.
Well guys, when I said we were gonna stick around and just keep powering through, I meant it. It's a little cold with the sun down.
Yeah, we did some serious work here. We have a minor complication that we're going to talk about a little bit tomorrow. I need to talk to Kevin about it. But look at our church! I feel like it looks like a church.
Yeah, it really does.
It says like, I don't know. I don't know why it looks like a church, but it looks like a church to me.
It's very nice.
Tomorrow, we need to cut that big beam down, fit it in right here, build the post that's going to go up and catch the ridge beam, and then sheathing, well, blocking and then sheathing. I think we should be able to finish that tomorrow, and then we'll be ready for the crane on Wednesday. Unfortunately, it has been an extremely long day. I'm very tired, so is Allie. Do you have anything you want to tell him?
We love you guys. We'll see you in the morning.
I still remember the day that you came. You were so little.
I probably feels to you guys like no time has passed because we are basically in the same clothes and it's basically the same looking time of day outside, but it's like 12 hours later. It's the next morning. Instead of the sun going down, the sun is coming up, and we are cold, excited, and very sleep deprived, not gonna lie.
I honestly am developing so much respect for people that work long hours of construction all the time. I feel like our truck is a disaster. I feel like Terry is a disaster because like last night we worked like 12 or 13 hours, or yesterday we worked like 12 or 13 hours. Then we have to take an hour drive back to Terry, and by the time we get there, it's like I barely have enough energy to like eat, so I have enough energy to wake up the next day. It's just very eye-opening. And I'm like, the thing is that I'm really enjoying it. I really like building, but it's just pretty physically demanding, and we're like pushing against this timeline, so there's also like this essence of frantic like rushing that we're trying to do while still doing things correctly. This is new ground for me.
Tell me that's not incredible.
I think it's really cool. It's probably the same guy we saw the other day, but the fact that it's like crisp and it's in the morning and the sun is rising and he was walking makes it 10 times better.
So yesterday when Trent and I stayed late and thought we were getting so much done and being super productive so that today was a little bit less stressful, what we were actually doing was working too long and getting a little bit too tired. We were super rushed and we made a lot of big mistakes.
We had a really good time yesterday. We did a lot of work. Me and Allie got tons of this wall framed. Now, we put these trimmers in, we put the king studs in. So these actually hold the header on top of the trimmers, which should go here. The only problem is they're gonna be overlapping these king studs. Now, I can't just cut the king studs out because that would basically eliminate the benefit of having the king studs, and I'm sure that that would fail an inspection, so we just have to undo about an hour, hour and a half worth of work that we did yesterday. This is construction. Looks like we better get to work. So my love, just for future reference, the X is where the board goes.
You were the one nailing them in.
I know, but you put them in place and I just came and nailed them.
It's good to know.
Yeah, that's like, you only mark one side of the board and then you put an X where the board goes. A lot of people, when they first start out, they mark both sides of the board and then it's like, not a question.
So all of these studs are actually supposed to be on the other side of that line. That's a pretty significant problem because at the edge, they're cut on an angle so that they can line up with the slope of the roof. So moving them over means we'll probably have to recut everything. It's a little more work than we bargained for today.
Bubba the Persuader.
What you need it for?
Separate those.
Just like that.
At least you guys have lots of muscles.
You're gonna come in handy.
Huh?
Said I knew you were gonna come in handy. I'm still having a good time, but I think most people in the situation that we're in right now would stop and say we should have hired someone, and I don't belong to that camp, so I don't think we should have hired someone. I'm glad that we're making mistakes early so that we can get all the mistakes out of the way, and from now on everything will go smoothly, fingers crossed. But yeah, no, if you have somebody that's super experienced that's building this, obviously they're gonna think about some of these things ahead of time and not make these mistakes, but it's probably because they made a mistake in the past, and now I've made the mistake. So
you'll be a professional by the time we're done and don't need to do this anymore.
Indubitably.
I guess mistakes like this are good and bad because it does slow you down quite a bit, but it's also giving us the opportunity to make everything pretty perfect, line it all up, double check ourselves. It's just a good reminder not to work 13-hour-long days, not to rush, and that it really makes a difference if you just slow down, take your time, and do it right the first time, rather than having to do it 2 or sometimes even 3 times. Curtis just showed up. He's gonna start hauling dirt today, and these guys have actually decided while everything is apart, they're gonna install this enormous header beam and then reconnect and reassemble everything, which is pretty cool. We're getting close to finishing this wall, and I think this is the most complicated wall of the entire house. So if they can do this, the rest should be a piece of cake. Also, I know I look ridiculous in this hat. I don't wanna wear this hat, but it's doing a great job of keeping the sun off my face, so I'm gonna wear this hat.
We have been working super hard today and I'm exhausted. I'm gonna take a minute to sit down, but I'm also gonna take a minute to tell you guys about today's sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by Surfshark. Surfshark is a virtual private network, a VPN. It's something that protects you while you're on the internet, especially if you're on an unprotected network like a coffee shop, airport, bus stop, the library, your friend's house, anywhere that you're connected to an unsecured network. Somebody can hack in and steal your information. A VPN encrypts your information so that this can't happen. Now, if you guys are interested in trying a VPN, if you don't have one, I highly recommend using Surfshark. If you click the link in our description and you use code Trent and Allie, you get 83% off and 3 months for free. And I highly recommend you at least check it out because it's only a couple bucks a month. Thanks again to Surfshark for sponsoring today's video. I think I've taken a long enough break. Let's get back to work. Well, today has proven to be the day of fixing mistakes from yesterday. And then we started putting all these brackets on and we realized we have to put the brackets on the beam before we put the brackets on the posts because there's bolts on the bottom side that we wouldn't be able to get to if we didn't put them in that order. We realized this after we put in about 14 of the screws.
Oh no.
So we're over here getting the beam cut and measured, then we're gonna put it in these little brackets, put all the bolts on, then mount it on the posts, then we can reinstall the king studs. This is basically like a giant jigsaw puzzle mixed with an erector set on steroids.
But at least we're out of the Jenga mode.
We're out of the Jenga mode. Now we're just doing the build. But at least Kevin yesterday did say, this is advanced framing. A lot of people that frame every single day don't see a lot of the stuff that's put into these walls. Thank you, our structural engineer, for making it super complicated. And I think Kevin even said, like, for your guys' first time framing and building a house, this is a huge challenge. So as long as everything turns out right, I'll feel super happy with myself, even though we've had like 1,000 mistakes already. Mistakes are how you learn.
Whew, these men are so strong.
I think we did it. I don't know. This is basically the header that's gonna rest on these 2 posts here. And there's gonna be a big post that goes up and catches the beam in the top. The only problem is we're gonna have to recut the... All right, we're gonna have to do a little bit of problem solving again. We're gonna cut the tops of these king studs again, get them installed. I don't have anything else to say.
Okay. So part of the reason that this wall is so complicated is because it's basically a 2-story wall. It has to span the entire height, floor to ceiling of our whole house. Only one side of the house has a loft. Everything else is like an open space concept, which is going to be really cool. But unfortunately, because of the snow load and the wind and the elements here, everything needs to be engineered to handle a lot of different types of climates. So most of the time when you frame a wall, you only frame one story at a time. But this wall is intense because we're framing both stories in one wall. It's extremely heavy, it's extremely tall, and there's a lot of complex mechanics that go into making it.
Getting close.
Yep.
Dang, guys. Excuse me?
An old home improvement thing you wouldn't understand. You have to be,
I've seen the show. I
you have
know.
to be over 30.
Taylor.
I know the noise. I know Tim the Toolman Taylor.
Trent, the Toolman Taylor. All right, guys, we are finally finished with everything except for the sheathing. Brandon is gonna go down here and undo our sheeting. But as you can see, we got our top row of blocks in, the lower row of blocks all the way across, all of our mechanical connections, the post is in place. Like pretty much everything so far, I've said, we're gonna get this done today, and it just doesn't happen. So, we're gonna get this sheeted today for sure, mark my words. Even if Brandon has to leave and me and Allie have to stay here all night and mess things up again, we're definitely finishing this tonight.
I feel like this basically happens to us every day. We have a slow start, some issues in the morning, some brainstorming meetings, a lot of calls to Kevin, and by the afternoon, we're in a groove, things are moving, everything is working out. It's definitely been a day of learning experiences. We've made some pretty significant mistakes this morning, but they've all been corrected as far as we know. Kevin's not here, so who really knows? But they are onto the sheathing, everything is looking good. Curtis is actually doing something incredible. He's actually grading the approach, which is really exciting because we can start to see like where we'll drive up to the house and how we'll actually access our house. It's crazy. Not to mention it'll make it way easier for us to bring lumber up to the house because before we had to climb this insane mountain of dirt, which was a good workout, but not super productive. Wow! Oh my goodness. I can't believe you made it up here!
Living the dream!
So this is BKXC. He's a mountain biking YouTuber that we've followed for years. And he's a really cool guy. His name's Brian.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh my god, this is so cool.
It's a mess, huh?
Wow. And it was like, it was all this great stuff. So it was like, you guys had just gone to Portland.
Yeah.
And it was, I don't know if it was still mountain biking at that time or not.
Yeah.
But it was like, I could just tell. I was like, oh my god, this is really interesting. There's a woman involved. Like, you know, everything was like super good. So I sent you this big old long email, unsolicited advice, and it was like, change the channel name to Trent Allie, do this, do this, do this, and like, oh my god, you guys did it all. You guys did it all. And it's so good. It worked out.
When we were TNT MTB, which is a terrible, terrible name, and I think we had like 8,000 subscribers, and I was like, these people won't know how to find us if we change our name. You know, I was like so worried. But yeah,
The branding.
yeah.
It's so crazy though, because honestly, I feel like I have to give Brian credit for our whole channel. Because Trent was working at Backcountry and he would come home from work and be like, I've been watching these YouTube videos and this guy is mountain biking and it looks so much fun. We should do this. And I was like, you're insane. There's no way.
Not possible.
And now we're here.
The mountain biking channel was, I think, when you and Alex were doing the first Redemption series, and I was just like, these guys They don't have jobs. They're just riding bike. And like, as you become a YouTuber, you realize it is a job,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of work that goes into it.
It's a great job.
But like, I just wanted to ride my mountain bike
Yeah.
like every day, and that was the
seed.
the catalyst. That was the catalyst.
I
that
love hearing
started
that. That's the
our YouTube
ultimate
channel.
best, because it's so tough. It's so tough to do it from the beginning and just crawl and scratch, because everybody has a YouTube channel. Everybody makes videos, but to actually separate yourself and do it and then make this, it's so cool.
I set out on a road that I built with my own two hands. I met friends on the way, people chosen to make a stand.
That looks like a wall.
Is this what you thought you'd be doing when you came to visit us?
This is it. 10 minutes of hard labor. Back to the chair.
That does it for the day. I think we're finished. There is a small gap in the sheeting right here, and I don't know if that's going to be a problem, but if it is going to be a problem, we're going to handle that after the wall is stood. All of the nails are done in all of the sheeting, and I think we have to make 2 holes tomorrow. Basically prop this up enough to be able to get some straps under it, and the crane is going to pick this up and put it in place. I'm really excited to get this wall up and braced and finished. This was probably the hardest thing I've ever tried to build, and obviously you guys saw in this video I did it wrong at least 3 times. So I'm hoping everything is right from here on out.
It's cool though, because it's a greenhouse. As you can see, everything is bright green, which matches Trent's color scheme perfectly. So we're just gonna be Christmas all year round. It's gonna be beautiful.
And the roof sheathing is red.
Oh, really?
Our house is a leprechaun.
Awesome.
Anyway, we hope you guys enjoyed coming along on today's adventure. If you did, make sure you give us a big thumbs up on this video. Consider subscribing to our channel if you haven't already.
Thank you again to Surfshark for sponsoring today's video. Click the link in our description to check them out.
And we'll see you guys on the next one.
Adios.
Baby, we're children of summer, we're meant to be free. Hearted, we're not like the others, no reason to be. And my ventures, they brought me to places I've never been.